Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.1. Initializing upgrades. Accessing peace. Existing without violence. With the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Ashes to ashes, we're falling down. Slaves to the men that stole the crown. There's a warning sign, like a blazing sun. You don't want to see because you're having fun. But those who control all the information celebrate and lie to the people to keep them watching.
Hey, welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I am your host. I'm Darryl W. Perry. And this weekend, I will be down in New York City. New York City? Get a rope. Yep, New York City, heading down early tomorrow morning for Liberty Fest, New York City. And it's going to be an exciting time. It should be, anyway. I've never been to this event. I was actually supposed to have gone to the very first Liberty Fest, New York City, about 6 years ago. And while I'm down there, not only will I be recording an episode of Free Talk Live that will air on Monday, but, well, I'm also speaking, and I found that out a couple of days ago. It's something that I had not planned on doing, and I still do not have my speech written. Like, I don't actually write speeches out. I'll generally, write out an outline. I still don't have that done because, well, I'm procrastinating on the one hand, and at the same time, I kind of know what I want to talk about, and the way I deliver my speeches is I'll have an outline and keywords, and I'll, hit on certain things. And again, I kind of know what it is that I want to talk about, but at the same time, I'm kind of procrastinating on this. And, well, what happens when one procrastinates? Now, I pride myself on getting things done, getting them done early, and meeting deadlines. Well, procrastination doesn't necessarily mean that you miss deadlines, but it means that you come in right at the end of when the deadline is. You've got a class assignment, and they say have it in by noon on Thursday. You put it on the teacher's desk at 11:59 and 45 seconds. That is what procrastination is. You're supposed to start work at, 7 o'clock in the morning, you roll in at 6:59 and punch in. Yeah, that's kind of, procrastinating. You're putting off going to work. You're putting off doing whatever. But again, what happens when people procrastinate? What does it do specifically to happiness? Well, there were a pair of British professors that wanted to find out, and back in 2014, they did a study to, again, find out what happens when students do not hand over assignments on time. Their study threw up an alarming surprise, which, if the students ever found out, would make them give up procrastination forever. First, the professors, David Arnott and Scott Dacko, decided to define the procrastinators as the ones who would not submit their end-of-term task until the last day. When they dipped into the 5 years of submission data on 777 marketing students from their own Warwick Business School, they found that while each of these students had 4 weeks or more to turn in their assignments, only about 100 had done so before the last day. The rest, 669 students, waited until the last 24 hours to submit their task. That is 86% of the students were procrastinators by the definition set forth by these professors. Now, on the one hand, I can understand wanting to get the assignment done, turn it in as soon as possible. But at the same time, depending on how elaborate the assignment is, maybe some of the data had not come back, or some of the information, or the student was trying to overdo the assignment. That happens as well. So I will take issue that all 86% of the people that waited until the final 24 hours were, by definition, procrastinator, but I digress and continue. In a different study at the University of Vermont, done in 1984, it was found that 46% of the students had reported that they procrastinated on writing academic papers. But even that figure might not surprise all of you. Students are known to be, quote-unquote, natural-born procrastinators to homework across the world. Everybody knows how busy the lives of young college-goers can be, so 86% seems to be unsurprisingly normal. The real surprise, they say, uncovered itself in the final 24 hours. As they analyzed the data, Arnott and Dacko found a disturbing pattern emerges as the last day of the submission had begun. The students taking another hour from here on getting started lowered marks. It was happening by the hour. For example, someone who submitted at 3 o'clock got lower marks than those who submitted at 2 o'clock. So the more you procrastinated, actually, not the better you did, the worse you did on average. It was as if every passing hour was chipping away at their scores. The worse the procrastination, the worse the marks. So clear was this pattern that those who handed in their assignments at the last minute had the worst grades of all. In fact, these last-minute guys saw a full 5% drop in their marks over those who had checked in their task before the start of the last day. Now, keep in mind, they say, those 5 percentage points are substantial for students because they could well translate into a half or a whole letter grade. An A becomes a B becomes a C plus becomes a C minus, etc., just because they handed their assignments in late. But what does procrastination do to happiness? Well, I'll get into that here in just a moment on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com.
Hi, this is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
The verdict is still out. That, in regards to the question, what does procrastination do to happiness? Article from lifehack.org, and as always, it will be in the show notes, where you can read it at your leisure without my commentary, if you wish. Again, the question, what does procrastination do to happiness? They say the verdict is out. Good things don't always come to those who procrastinate. You've heard the saying, good things come to those who wait. But, well, slightly different when you procrastinate. Procrastination takes away your happiness. It has been proven over many studies and surveys. And apparently, there is something called the Procrastination Research Group that carried out a survey with over 10,000 respondents and found that 94% of them reported that procrastination indeed does have some negative effects on their happiness. Now, I'm curious here if the Procrastination Research Group would tell the procrastinators that were taking part in the research group to show up at a specific time, and then they judge to see, all right, so we're telling people to get here at 10. Let's see how close to 10 o'clock people show up. Because I was raised being told if you're 5 minutes early, you're late. You're supposed to be somewhere at 10 o'clock, you get there at 9:55. You're supposed to be somewhere at noon, get there 11:55. And then you're on time. You're 5 minutes early, you're late. When I started working, I would always get to work at least 15 minutes early. At least 15 minutes early. Just because that's the way I was raised. If you show up on time, you're late. Getting back to the article here, they say, according to Procrastination and Science, almost 70% of procrastinators were found to be less happy than an average person. Now, I don't necessarily know how you determine someone's happiness level. And there was a cartoon that I saw recently that I wish I remembered where I saw it, but it really explained happiness. And the little cartoon figure was saying, well, no, I'm not happy, but I'm not happy either. And it went on to explain how horrible of a word happy is to try to describe joy. Now, when most people think of happiness, they think of, like either somebody that's always cheerful or somebody that's always in sort of a joyful mood. Well, sure, I have momentary, there are moments throughout my day where I am happy. There are moments throughout the day to where I am sad, but most of the time I'm somewhere in between. It's not that I'm happy, it's not that I'm sad, it's just sort of a neutral emotion. So how exactly are they determining what someone's happiness level is to then determine what the average happiness level is, and then determine that the procrastinator is less happy than that at about a 70% rate? Again, Procrastination and Science determined somehow that 70% of procrastinators were less happy than the average person. Back to the Warwick study. It showed that when students waited until the last minute to tie up their assignments, they got the worst grades. Habitual procrastination could damage relationships, create an unflattering reputation of carelessness, and invite setbacks in career and work prospects. Procrastinators frequently resort to lies to reason out their delays and are often found out, leading to disastrous consequences. And you could swear that all of that can take away a sizable bit of happiness. The biggest culprit is regret. It's a story that goes around in a predictable circle. Procrastinators begin with hope, then go into anxiety, guilt and self-criticism, and end up in regret. Next project, same cycle. But again, it's not only the procrastinators that deal with this. There are lots of people that, I would dare say people that are clinically depressed, or even the people that have never actually been diagnosed as having depression, but have a lot of the symptoms of depression. They'll start off, something with a lot of hope, and then anxiety, and then guilt and self-criticism, and then, I didn't wind up doing this thing the way I knew that I could have, or the way that I should have, and then there's regret, and more self-criticism, and more guilt, and then the next thing. So it's not only the procrastinator that deals with this cycle. What do you know about procrastination is the next question that they ask in this article. They say procrastination is not taking action. It is avoiding starting something that you mean to start. It is avoiding finishing something you're supposed to finish. It is doing something else or lots of other things when you know that you should be doing a certain important thing. Experts classify it into two types. Decisional, which is intentionally putting off taking a decision or making a decision, and avoidant, which is putting off doing things. So, again, I've talked plenty of times about how the lack of a decision is a decision, where if your friends ask you, hey, do you want to go out to eat with us? Friday, we're going to this new steak restaurant. We're going to the new steakhouse. We're going to eat. Do you want to go with us? And you're like, well, I don't know what my schedule's going to look like next week. And I might wind up being busy. I might be tired from work. I'll let you know in a couple of days. And then they ask you again, hey, it's Wednesday. You going to eat with us on Friday at that new steakhouse? I really don't know. I've been pretty busy. I'll let you know Friday. And then Friday rolls around. And they say, hey, you coming to eat with us tonight? I don't know. If I go, I'll just meet you there. And then at some point, you have decided either to go to the restaurant or not to go to the restaurant. You have, by your lack of making a decision, have made a decision. That's one type of procrastination. The other is just putting things off. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Well, I'll finish the article here in just a minute on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Are you a procrastinator? Which type of procrastinator are you? Are you the decisional procrastinator? That is, you keep putting off making a decision. It's not that you put off doing things. You do your dishes right away. You do your laundry when it needs done. You vacuum. You do all of the things when they're supposed to be done, but you don't make decisions. That's one type. The other is avoidant, where you put off doing things. I'll do the dishes later. I'll sweep the floors tomorrow. I'll do my laundry tomorrow, as it piles up next to the bed. Not that I'm talking about myself here, which I totally am. There are certain things that I put off doing, but I generally do not consider myself to be a procrastinator. But again, there are certain things, and I think everybody to some degree is a quote-unquote procrastinator, that there's always that one thing that you hate to do that you always put off. Well, perhaps all of us, the article says, procrastinate at some time. While some of us do it more and some do it less, the truth is that none of us do it all the time. The three main areas of life that we procrastinate on are education, career, and health. With education, as they reported in the earlier paragraphs on how pervasive it is, Many of us, or rather for many of us, this problem can be traced back to our earliest school years when we were perhaps slow learners or got labeled by our peers and teachers, and we carry the label long after school. Career. On the career front, most of us know at least one person who despises his current job and desperately wants to change it, but does nothing about it. Like a lost soul swimming in circles in a small fishbowl, perpetually planning to dive out into bigger waters, but never making the jump. That lost soul is often the person we know the best, ourselves. Are you sure that person isn't you? And on health, we're really bad procrastinators when it comes to health. Think of the New Year's Day health goals that you set for yourselves, and you keep delaying starting them year after year. Think of that regular half-hour yoga that never came around, or those 8 glasses of water that, by the way, is complete BS that I'll try to find an article on that to post in the show notes. But that whole drink a gallon of water, no, everybody hydrates differently. So for some people, all you're doing is overhydrating and then adding water weight. Other people, you're taking in whatever amount. If you're thirsty, drink some water. If you're not thirsty and there's some water laying around, as long as it's not going to wind up, just like gagging you. And I've actually, interesting note here on the drinking a gallon of water thing. I actually drank an entire gallon of water one time, like in one sitting. Like I gulped a gallon of water, and I wound up basically overdosing on water and overhydrating myself and making myself sick, and then I threw up. What had happened was it was after a football practice when I was in high school 20 plus years ago. I still remember it very distinctly. I was incredibly tired and exhausted as I was leaving practice. I stopped at the Dairy Queen where I worked, and I asked one of my coworkers, give me 2 64-ounce cups full of cold water. And they looked at me a little strange, and I was like, give me 2 giant cups of water. And they handed me the water, and I gulped both of them super fast. And I sat down for a minute, and then I felt something move up my esophagus the way things do, and I ran outside, and that entire gallon of water just came spewing out of my mouth. So, yes, it is possible to overhydrate yourself. So there's a fine line between overhydrate and underhydrate, but I digress, and I continue. They say, remember that 8 hours of sleep that never became a reality? The smoking habit that you left and picked back up so many times that you feel ashamed to even whisper it. Well, those are the three main categories where people will procrastinate, either education, career, or health. And other people procrastinate in relationships for various reasons. Put off trying to find one, put off getting into one, put off getting out of one. Are you one of those people that you're in a bad relationship because, well, I'd rather be in a relationship than be single? And I would rather be single than be in a bad relationship. And then I, look on OkCupid, and there's nobody that sparks my interest. And, so, whatever. It's become not a priority while simultaneously being something that I desperately wish I could change. But I digress, and I continue with the article. They ask the question, why do we procrastinate? Procrastinators have a complicated relationship with time and often believe that time is up against them and they have some way to outsmart it. But even then, procrastination is not just a matter of time management. Rather, it's a complex psychological problem with deep roots into self-esteem. And I'll continue this article with the main reasons that procrastination is likely.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Why do people procrastinate? Well, we talked about the how and the fact that procrastination makes you less happy on average. And again, there's some kind of way that they calculated that. But why? What are the main reasons that people give for procrastination? Something is uninteresting. People will delay doing things until eternity because we find the work utterly boring and without any fun. That comes from the human nature's basic pain-pleasure principle. We run from painful activities and go to pleasurable ones. Scientists call it task aversiveness. Impulsiveness. Procrastinators have been found to be largely impulsive. Being impulsive, they fail to handle their goals effectively and keep jumping from task to task, leaving most of the things they begin unfinished. Some researchers even argue that procrastination is a byproduct of impulsiveness, even when these two behaviors seem polar opposites. So you're impulsive and you jump from thing to thing to thing, but you never finish any of your task. Makes perfect sense to me. Low self-confidence. And I will not read the article or the paragraph here because we are short on time. Anxiety. Goal problems when goals are not clear or the goals lie too far into the future or there is no goal at all. We will procrastinate. Perfectionism. People who search for perfection often end up procrastinating. And, well, it could be hereditary. I'll, again, post the link into the show notes. You can read this entire study and article for yourself. And they say that some people that procrastinate might actually have a mental illness. Not that they're saying that procrastination is a mental illness. No. They're saying that some people that are habitual procrastinators have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, depression, anxiety, addiction problems, and other mental illnesses. And, well, how can you beat procrastination with science? Well, try to avoid it. Get a growth mindset. And again, I am speeding through this. And they also mentioned something called acceptance and commitment therapy. That is a mindfulness-based psychotherapy that centers around accepting what is outside of your personal control and committing to take action that enriches your life. There's a lot more in this that I did not cover, so as always, it will be in the show notes. And don't forget, every Wednesday, I answer your questions. Send those over.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.